Welcome to the Homeschool Together podcast. Where one working mom and a stay-at-home dad help you navigate the nuts and bolts of the growing and dynamic world of homeschooling.
With a focus on early learners, like me.
All the ins and outs of building and maintaining your homeschool life.
Homeschool.
Find out tips and tricks to make things like this easier.
I'm reading.
And ultimately, enjoy educating your kids. And what's that last thing?
Have fun together. Did I do good, Daddy?
Yeah, you did, sweetie. Good job. Hello and welcome back to Homeschool Together. Thank you for joining us. If you have a chance, pick something today. You got one of three things. You can click on the link down below and subscribe to our YouTube channel. See all the new reviews and all the fun vlogging that we do. Or you can click on the Gumroad channel or store and help support the podcast. Or you can go on to social media and follow us on our Facebook group. That's pretty active and fun and meet some other people. And then there's a bonus thing. Ariel, what's the bonus thing?
If you really want to be ultra into the podcast,
yes.
can reach out to us.
Extra credit.
You can reach out to us about coming on for an interview. Now, I talked about first-year homeschoolers a couple weeks ago.
We do accept second and third-year homeschoolers as well.
We really accept any. We are equal opportunity. We accept everyone. If you are first year or if you've been homeschooling for a while, we love listening to these homeschool journeys. If you have been on the podcast before, but it's been a few years, we might be reaching out to you, or you can certainly reach out to us. We love check-ins too. So yeah, definitely. I've already heard from a couple of listeners that were brave and said, yeah, we'd be willing to be on the show. So I'd love to get a whole host of interviews lined up this summer so that we can keep interviews coming very regularly to your feed so you can hear from other families. So this is my second appeal. This is it. I'm going to get off my soapbox, but if you are at all interested or willing to talk about your homeschool life, your struggles and successes and what works for your family or hasn't worked for your family, we would love to hear from you. So it's homeschooltogetherpodcast@gmail.com. Send us a message. We would love to chat.
Absolutely. So Ariel, today we're going to be talking about, if people have seen the title, they already know, but let's get ready to Olympics. We are going to be covering the Olympics today and all the myriad of homeschooling opportunities that are coming up. We know France and Paris is supporting this year's Olympic Games. And so we are excited to kind of fold in that experience and that global event into our homeschooling.
Yeah, we really love the Olympics. It's something that, ever since we got together, this is 20 years.
We were lucky enough to go to the Vancouver Olympics when it was here.
Yes, we did. And we always watched the Olympics. And, well, before kids, especially before we were so busy, we would watch all day. We would watch all the coverage. It would take us weeks.
Throw shade at Bob Costas.
Yeah. Oh, it's like a sport in and of itself to throw shade at Bob Costas. He's probably a very nice person.
Yeah, I'm sure.
So anyways, we do love the Olympics, and we thought that this would be a really fun way to, it's summer, so it's kind of something fun and different. And I feel like everything's an opportunity to homeschool. So why not the Olympics?
Well, and especially since we are doing our Trekking the Globe, trademarked Homeschool Together. We were doing the Trekking the Globe. And so, as part of your planning, covering these experiences and any opportunity that we can do to help expand or utilize, events and whatnot that are occurring, you're like, in pen, Sharpie marker was like, okay, in the middle of July, we're going to be in France because why not spend 2 weeks in France and studying France as part of our Trekking the Globe effort while the Olympics are on? Because you're just going to get so much coverage of France. I know there's more to France than just Paris, but obviously when we are doing the Trekking the Globe and we're going around the world and stuff like that, you tend to have to focus on something like one or two things, whatever that might be. And so focusing on Paris and the Olympics, they're going to have such great coverage of the city. They're going to have just the opening games. Like you could just imagine the the hundreds of places they're going to be. They're going to be on the Eiffel Tower. They're going to be on Champs-Élysées. They're going to be on the Seine. I mean, they're going to
Place de Concorde.
Place de Concorde. I mean, they're going to see all these great things that we all know. Versailles. I wonder if they'll have something there as well.
They're having equestrian at Versailles.
Oh man, that's going to be so cool.
It's going to be really cool. So I think that's just kind of the low-hanging fruit of studying the Olympics and wrapping that into your homeschool is to study the host country. That's certainly what we're going to do. Yep. We've got some French snacks. I held on to a Yum box, so we're ready for that. So we've got some of those stashed around. We're going to be cooking. We're going to be watching. We're also going to do some things with our kids to prepare some of the things you can kind of foresee coming. Of course, the famous landmarks in Paris. It would be great to go through, and we plan to go through and watch some YouTube videos about those landmarks before, because they're going to be talking all about them, and our kids are going to be like, I don't know what the Place de Concorde is, right?
Yeah,
so
right.
Let's look at that. Also, the fire that happened in Notre Dame. I'm sure we're going to hear a lot about the rebuilding.
Oh, yeah.
So that would be a really interesting one too. We'll see if we can dig up a cool YouTube video to share about the restoration that's going on there. So there's going to be a lot. There's a huge engineering project to make the Seine swimmable.
Potentially swimmable.
There's a big boat parade. So even just talking about the Seine and how that's all going to be. So it promises to be pretty epic. I think so, diving into a study that has to do with France is one of the easiest ways to kind of fold that in. Or, if you're listening to this a couple of years later, and it's in another country, whichever country it is, to study a bit about the culture is a great way. Study the national anthem, who is the president, kind of like maybe some of, the host country always gets a little bit of extra coverage. So you could pick a couple of athletes from the host country, maybe that, are some of their biggest medal contenders, and, follow their journey and learn about them. So that could be cool rather than just learning about like Team USA or whichever country you're from.
Yeah.
So that could be fun too.
Well, I know I'll be following, I believe, the men's basketball team because I'll have Wembanyama as in the French team and a few other newer French players that have come into the NBA. Yeah. So I'll be watching for that just personally. You're right. Following the athletes is the best thing to do. And especially, you can really be creative with it. If you have some ancestry or some background that is tied to another country, like maybe you have some grandparents from a certain country or something of that nature, or parents or whatnot, gravitate to those countries and teach your own history through the Olympics. You don't have to just kind of like focus on the host country. I like that idea as well. For me, we're going to be jumping on to, focusing on the athletes, because really, the whole thing is about sports and the physical body and the achievements. One of the easiest ways is to pick an athlete and kind of do a deep dive on that athlete. And who are we picking?
So we're picking Simone Biles because both of our daughters have done gymnastics, although they're really just too tall to continue.
Yeah. When you're 8 or when you're almost 9-year-old is as tall as the gymnastics teacher, I think, that sport's past us.
Yeah, maybe so. But our kids really have enjoyed gymnastics. Our younger daughter went to gymnastics preschool. They really like that. So they're very connected with that. And we also wanted to pick an athlete. There was a couple of criteria for picking an athlete. First of all, we wanted to pick somebody that girls would be interested in, someone that there was going to be enough literature or videos or things about. So it can't be a super obscure athlete. That makes it a little difficult. And we wanted to pick someone that we knew that sport was going to be interesting enough for our family that we would probably watch all of that athlete's competition. So if we'd chosen a cyclist or something and our family's not really into cycling, we would probably not have watched all of it. So we know that we're going to see all of Simone Biles. And we also, I guess the last thing is somebody too that is well known enough that you're going to be able to get the coverage. So we know that the NBC, 4-hour primetime show every night is going to have everything Simone Biles touches. So that's going to be easy. They're
going to have really nice documentaries and kind of like write-ups and
they are.
And showcases and like, behind the scenes with the athletes because she is, I don't know if there's a bigger athlete in the games other than like the basketball players, than,
and I know
like LeBron or something like that.
I don't know if there is a bigger one she's definitely the star of this games. And there's lots of other stars that you can pick that, are still going to probably have a little documentary, those little like vignette kind of things they do. I know our interviewing.
Yeah. I know our track and field athletes are going to get a lot of exposure because we're always big in track and field. I know there's the kid from, I believe he's from LSU who's running the 200. He's really fast. But even now, like I'm into sports. I've seen clips of him running. I still can't remember his name off the top of my head.
Right.
Simone Biles is like that name. It's almost like the Michael Phelps of the last few Olympics.
So
right?
we were able to find a picture book about her and a
kind of like an autobiography, right?
Yeah, well, not an autobiography, a biography about her, but it was a kind of an early reader version so that our older daughter could actually read that to herself. So we found these 2 books, and believe it or not, we're not that far. We're 2 weeks out right now, and as we record this, spoiler, we're getting to it a little late, but we really wanted to get this in for you guys. And those books were still totally available at the library, so don't
awesome.
think that you can't go out and get some of that stuff. But we thought that would be great. So we got that information, and we also have what is the Olympic Games? So the Summer Olympics, I'm sorry, from the Who HQ series. So we've got that so we can do the history of it. So we're going to really look at Simone Biles. We're also going to look at the history of gymnastics. I want to watch some old YouTube videos of how gymnastics has evolved over the years and how it's, kind of grown to what it is now, and see, what did it look like when Grandma and Grandpa were young, and then when I was young, and so we'll look at the sport. We're also going to talk about when she started, how much she trains. There's a really good documentary about her that is streaming on one of the services. I can't think of it off the top of my head, but we're going to watch a documentary about her as well. So we're really going to kind of just jump into that, learn about how she eats, and all the training that happens and all that kind of stuff, and then try to know enough about gymnastics to be able to be excited for the good things. And like sometimes there'll be something happens in one of these sports and the whole audience goes, oh, and you're watching at home like, I have no idea why they all just did that. Like something really cool must have just happened. So we need to do enough research about it that we can kind of be full active participants.
No, I agree. I think for the amount of time it takes for these the games to go, if you can really pick that event that, really you capture with this athlete, I think is a great way to go. You have also done a deep dive on, this Girl Scouts thing.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about that.
This is just a fun patch. And we talked a little bit in our summer plans about different kinds of patches that you can get. If you do Scouts, you can do that. But there's also just patches or stickers or, whatever you want to do. But this one is a lot about researching an athlete, but also because it's for Girl Scouts, getting to know the sports that are only female. There's only a couple sports that are just for females. And also getting to know a couple of female coaches. So I thought that was really interesting because I was like, okay, cool. I thought about, researching an athlete, but I didn't think about getting to know the coaches. So I think that's a cool aspect of it too. And then to... we watch the actual games themselves, but we don't often watch the medal ceremonies. We're kind of like fast forwarding through that. But to watch a medal ceremony and see what this means and, who wins and what their national anthem is, and, maybe even look into some of the gold medal winners, that could be kind of cool too. And this one also has watching the opening ceremonies, which I think the opening ceremonies, they have the potential this year to be really amazing if they actually do the boat parade down the Seine. I mean, that would be really cool.
Yeah.
I know we love to watch every Olympics, and my daughter and I love to, look at all the fashion.
All the fashion on the
all
walk,
the outfits.
On the walk-in,
but even we'll probably do some videos beforehand about the preparations that they did, the type of practice that they did for the opening ceremonies. And I think it's a good opportunity too to watch some stuff about how they prepared the city as far as making the different venues. In this case, as we said, they're going to take a lot of historic places and, put beach volleyball or whatever in the shadow of the Eiffel Tower. And I mean, it's like amazing. Yeah. So to look at how they transform the cities for the games is really going to be a neat thing too.
The other thing too about the games, then I think more of the modern games, is that they're trying to figure out a way to make them not. A lot of times they overspend on building all the facilities, and those facilities kind of go into ruin. I know in Paris they've taken a lot of great care into making sure that doesn't happen. They're reusing, as you said, a lot of historical landmarks. I couldn't imagine watching like a beach volleyball event right in the park right in front of the Eiffel Tower. That would be just the coolest thing ever. I going into kind of like the environmental aspects of, as you said earlier, the work they've done on trying to make the Seine swimmable for the marathon. I believe it's the marathon they're trying to put in there.
The triathlon.
Triathlon, yeah, the triathlon. And they are, the engineering that's gone into that is impressive. Like they've spent enormous amounts of money trying to figure it out. And then like abstracting that out to like, well, what are the environmental impacts that they've been having to deal with? You know, a lot of the sewer system is hundreds, 200s, 300 years old because the city is so old. A lot of the water that pours into that is from these historical old systems that they have. So really doing the deep dive on, you know, how the city handled this transformation. It's, you know, it's an enormous city. It's actually a very large city. How are they handling the millions of people that are going to like descend upon the area? That's kind of cool. You know, I think there's going to be a lot of content out there that you can watch. I know NBC will do it, but I think what's really cool about it, because it's a European Olympics, you know, the BBC will do a ton of things as well.
Yeah, the BBC coverage will probably be great.
Will probably be amazing. And then also a lot of their additional content is going to be cool, like the plus content, like the behind the scenes. And so there's going to be a lot of great things you can watch that isn't necessarily, okay, the actual event. Like you can actually find a lot of things that maybe some prep work that they've done and, you know, pre-documentaries that they've done is going to be really cool as well.
So that's a little bit about, you know, diving into the host country, or, you know, choose an athlete, and you can choose, you know, you can, if you kind of do some looking for who's in medal contention in the various sports, that's who's going to get most of the coverage. If you're interested in that, and you can probably find more information about them. But if you just want to understand the Olympics as a whole, there's lots of books about the history of the Olympics, and you can talk about the geography. You can talk about how it started in Greece and the maturity of different sports. There's new sports this year, right? They're adding surfing, and
they always have a couple new sports available. Yeah,
they're adding, I want to say they're adding breakdancing.
There's also 3-on-3 basketball, which is a new one, I believe, as well.
So there's some sports that have gone in and out of favor. So you can kind of look at the history of sports. That could be kind of fun. So obviously tons about Olympic history. So if you want to dive in, if you're going to be doing ancient history and you want to do a sidetrack to Greece and talk about that piece, that would
great idea.
Dovetail really well. So that's a really fun one. The other thing is incorporating some math. So we were talking about this doing medal standings, and so like doing a tally. So you could do, for the younger kids, you can do medal tallies. For the older kids, you can start having them do averages and different things of the different scores that they've gotten. You can have them start calculating how many points they would need to win. You know, there can be lots of cool math with the Olympics, so that's really fun.
Splits on, you know, relay races, whether it's swimming or running. That's another one you could do as well, especially if you're starting to get into math that has decimal places, like you're starting to handle that as like addition and subtraction. That's another great way to go in there as well. I loved your tally thing. I think that might be a good one to give to the little girl.
Yeah, I think she would really like it.
She could have like kind of like a running tally where she keeps adding, you know, medals to everybody and having to count those up.
We could even just track, you know, 5 nations or something.
Yeah, the top 5
and then she could just like color in the little bars as they, you know, win different medals. That could be kind of fun. So, you know, and the other thing you can do is make graphs of all sorts. I mean, there's so much stats and stuff to do with sports. I mean, go hog wild. Whatever level of math your child's at, there is some sort of equivalent you can do in sports. So the other thing you can do, if you're not going to want to, like, you know, watch anymore, we're already going to be glued to the TV quite a bit for actually watching the events. So if you don't want to do more videos, or you don't want to sit down and read more books, you can get out there and make your own mini Olympics. And I think we're going to invite a couple of our homeschool friends out over to the house to do that, because the weather will be nice.
Yeah. Or go to a park and
but come up with some little events, you know.
I think it would be really cool if you get an opportunity to say, hey, can you get out to the track and run 100 meters, and what was your time, and then compare that against, you know, what you're going to watch at the event, or, you know, swim at the community pool, or swim at the YMCA, you know, 25 meters, and then time yourself and say, okay, well, how fast is Katie Ledecky going to do her, you know, 50 meters, and what would yours be? And, you know, that type of thing. Comparing and contrasting your efforts versus what the athletes are doing can really showcase the challenges that they go through to do those events.
Right. And you can definitely get your friends together and come up with different, they don't have to necessarily be Olympic sports, but you can come up with different relay races or
How fast you can clean your room.
It could be spoon races. It could be anything, right?
You can really make it fun.
Yeah, make it fun and get outside. And
especially if you have like a birthday falling in at this time as well.
that'd be great.
You can almost incorporate that into the birthday party.
Yeah, so this is a great opportunity to get out and do some sports, try a few things. It could be really fun, and because it's summer, it's just a perfect time.
It is a perfect time. I also like the idea that, if your young one is either scheduled to or is preparing or has played certain sports, really identify a lot with those. Like, our daughter does a lot of basketball and volleyball. I have a feeling we're going to be watching a lot of volleyball. Both beach volleyball and the indoor volleyball as well for the girls, and also the women's basketball. I would like to watch a lot of that because I want her to see, okay, here's the best players in the world, and enjoy that. I think that's another way to kind of like connect to those sports, and not just trying, to do your own relay races and stuff, but actually, okay, what sports do you already know or are interested in? I think it's a cool one to go.
Right. Absolutely. The other thing you can do for the Olympics is to lean into some art.
Yeah, I agree.
Whether that's, we were talking about making our own medals out of air clay. Yeah. We thought that would be really cool. We were talking about making, if we make the fabric out of it and kind of sandwich it between the air clay, let it dry, and then we could paint them. And so the girls could make their own medals, which I thought would be really fun.
Well, I did notice today, as I went and got more air clay today at Walmart, they have now an industrial tub now available.
Oh, okay.
I'm creative. Normally they just have it's like 3 inches tall and kind of like the size of a giant donut. But they now have one it seems like it's almost like a quart size. It's like double or three. So yeah, I can get more air clay. I got you.
Yeah, air clay, or you can make salt dough or whatever. Yeah. But to do some art.
I think that's a good one.
You could print out coloring pages and things, or we talked about coloring in medal standings. So you could design your own Olympic torch. I think that could be fun too. Like take some tinfoil or something, or maybe some paper. You could crumple up the paper and make your own torch. Anyway, I don't know. Some fun ideas, but definitely lean into the art. That would be very fun. And one that I thought was interesting that I read about was trying to understand the different uses of technology in the Olympics and now how they use that. I mean, there's a lot of tech that they now use to help not just film the games, but the tech of the sports, right? Where it's like, oh, all the athletes this year are using these special new shoes because these shoes have this kind of technology built in them. Like that kind of stuff, right? We really geek out on.
Or you might see, I know it kind of came out maybe a couple Olympics ago where they started doing the cupping. They were doing the sports tape. So you're gonna see things on the athletes that you go, wow, I wonder what that is about.
Right. And I think that leads perfectly into talking with our kids about diet and nutrition and exercise and the way that the athletes take care of their bodies, and like you said, the things that they do. And we'll often see athletes who are wearing braces on ankles and things like that. And it's a great way to highlight, we were talking with our daughter about in a few years, we're going to want to start, protecting your ankles and things. And it kind of normalizes it to see it on Olympic athletes. But talking about I remember watching a documentary on Michael Phelps one time, just showing how he manages his diet and nutrition.
He has 10,000 calories a day. I think you'll see that a lot now. A lot of these athletes are not only just athletes, but you may actually have access to their social media. They may have YouTube channels or something where they showcase their journey. A lot of them will have day in the life type of videos that are available. There may be, things like Men's Health may have done an expo on, this athlete, and they track him through the day, or this, female athlete, and track her through the day. And they may actually showcase, what do they eat on a day? Here's my day of eating.
Right. And this is a great opportunity to talk about different kinds of foods and the kind of energy different foods give us, and the nutrients and vitamins that are in different nutrients or in different foods, right? So it's a really good opportunity to talk about health and biology and all of that stuff, and how our muscles grow and how they work, and just that's a really good opportunity. So I think our kids are maybe a little bit young. We can talk a little bit with them about it. But if you have kind of upper elementary, you have like middle school students, that would be like prime time to talk about all those health aspects.
Well, especially if you have a 2-year-old and you want to try to like, steer them to the most probable way of winning a gold medal.
Right. That's exactly what I was going
We
for.
definitely had those discussions. What sports could we get our kids in that might win a gold medal in the Olympics?
Oh, how naive young, not yet parents are.
We were like, the javelin. There can't be that many people.
The javelin. So yeah, those are just some fun ideas. I think there's a lot of ways to incorporate the games. But if you intend to watch, we're gonna just we're just gonna stream it. I guess we should maybe talk about this a little bit. There's multiple ways to watch. You can, in the US anyway, there's the nightly broadcast, which is going to be like the highlights. That's going to be the best pieces of everything that happened through the day. And then on other channels like NBC Sports or USA or whatever, they're going to have the complete matches of everything, or the complete set of all the competitors. So know that if the athletes that you're choosing to follow are not going to be in medal contention, or it's not as popular of a sport, like, I mean, sometimes like shooting and stuff, you don't always see everything.
Yeah.
That might be on your NBC Sports or, app or whatever.
Unfortunately, may not even be shown. I know that in some of the coverage in the other countries, like in England and whatnot, they'll do, I remember in Canada when they had the Vancouver Olympics, they promised to air every sport, every match on like the CBS channel.
The
or
CBC.
So.
Oh,
CBC
so
channel.
good.
Yeah. And like when we were up there, and we were staying in Vancouver, we were able to turn the show on, turn that channel on, and it was just like just a solid live stream of every
Right.
sport, every game,
They
everything.
did such good coverage.
Ours
There's a
does
lot
not
of
do
like
that.
sitting in armchairs on the NBC primetime, having discussions with athletes, and then they'll cut and they'll show a bit of the games. So judge your level of how involved you want to get with it. If you're really wanting to see matches in their entirety, you don't want to miss anything, then you're going to have to go like the NBC Sports route. If you're okay, you got younger kids, like for us, we're probably only going to watch primetime coverage this year because our kids don't have the stamina to watch more than that.
Yeah.
So I don't think I have the stamina to watch so that many hours. So we'll just watch the primetime coverage every night. But know that there's a few different ways to go, and you can definitely stream the Olympics. You can sign up for that streaming service, or you can do it through cable. But there's a few different ways to watch. But I know some people think like, oh, if we're going to watch the Olympics, we have to get all the coverage. Really, it matters, If you're going to want to see every bit of the marathon and stuff, you're going to have to, because they're just not going to show it. There's not time to show it on the prime time.
Yep.
So those are our ideas. That's a little bit about what we're going to do to, dive in and enjoy the Olympics, and hopefully studying some of the sports and studying some of we have our main athlete we're going to study, but we're also going to learn about some of the other key athletes. Hopefully that helps enrich the whole experience for our kiddos.
No, I think it's gonna be great. I love sports. I love competition. I think it's the pinnacle. There's a few sports in there that I'm really excited about. I want to watch the 3-on-3 basketball. Some of the clips I've watched of that it looks amazing.
Yeah,
It's so
exciting.
It's super fast. It's only half court, and they're having to check, and it looks like a wonderful new refreshing version of basketball. I think I also want to watch the golf as well, because I think I missed that in the Rio Olympics. What was it 2020?
I have this sense that we're going to have to get the NBC Sports just for you to be able to watch golf.
Yeah, I think so.
Because everybody's
I'm looking forward.
They're not going to cover much of that in the prime time.
I'm looking forward to watching the volleyball for the girls and the basketball for the girls, and really do that. So there's been a few sports I'm excited to look at, and obviously track and field is going to be awesome. I'm always into that. For some reason, I'm not a track and field guy. I'm not built for that, but I enjoy it. So anyway, Paris Olympics, I think it's been great. Another little thing that you might be able to do as well is really dive into the culture from an adult standpoint. So if you and your spouse are, wanting to dive into the country's culture, you can read great novels from, in France. You can pull a short novel, Camus' The Stranger. It can be read in a few days, things of that nature. So
You can watch long-haired Tom Hanks in The Da Vinci Code.
What a great recommendation, Ariel. I think that's what we're going to have to do. Maybe we'll let the kids watch that. No,
Please cut your hair.
That one's a little spooky. But you could read some, fun, I won't say trashy, fun Dan Brown novel set in Paris. But something that we learned in the ancient civilizations is that, don't neglect the content that you could enjoy.
Yeah.
That can bring and enrich the experience for you as well. I think I may pick up a novel. I may go read Sun Also Rises again or something like that.
Yeah.
To enjoy the experience of.
Was that set in France? I thought it was Spanish. The Spanish Civil War, wasn't it?
No, they started in Paris. They finished in Spain.
Oh, okay.
That's where
I haven't read it.
That's where they go to.
But yeah, I mean, there's so much about French history. I mean, gosh, there's volumes and volumes and volumes. So there's lots to pick. But yeah, I think it's great. If you want to check out a book or whatever. I don't know about watching more movies because there's already a lot of TV time with the Olympics. But yeah. So go out there, have fun, watch the Olympics, enjoy. And we can, I think this is a great opportunity too, to talk a lot about international cooperation and, different cultures mixing and working together and appreciating one another. So lots of goodness here. I think let's focus on the goodness.
As we beat them into the ground.
No.
Thanks so much for joining us today and making us a part of your homeschool journey. Please engage with us on social media. Join our Homeschool Together podcast group on Facebook and find us at Homeschool Together Podcast on Instagram. We'd love to hear your feedback, questions, and recommendations. Until next time.
Happy homeschooling!